Tony D and little Joan in the background and one of the other dogs. And this is a screenwriter's rant on Fleishman is in Trouble, starring Jesse Eisenberg and Claire Danes. A new TV series on FX that looks pretty good. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's what? It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 9. Sorry, 10. Now 10. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. All right, this is based on a book, New York Times bestseller, and it's a series. And Jesse Eisenberg plays a guy who's divorced, and I think his wife dies or disappears. I'm not sure which. The incident that starts it all off is that she drops off the kids at 4 in the morning, which is, God, that's annoying. And so there's a lot of back and forth. He's a doctor. It's a very high-end sort of group of people you're dealing with. You know, he said, "Oh, I became a doctor to live a meaningful life," and then he says to his wife Claire Danes, and money can't buy you happiness, and she says, "Don't be stupid," and it's all high-end people living in New York basically, and these are his friends, and there's a lot of flashbacks based on the best-selling novel by Taffy Brodesser Ackner. So it follows both groups of people through their lives. So this is them, early in their relationship, and eventually they get married, but it turns into resentment because they can't work out their problems. And then this couple too, they're friends. Apparently they're having problems too. So everybody's having problems. And she's like, "I'm so busy, I don't have time for a divorce." And here's all the bros hanging out. So it looks pretty interesting. It's very detailed. Adam Brody, who's the Lizzie Kaplan. I don't know her. Here's Claire Danes spending a lot of money on some kind of weird therapy, I guess. And then the police come. So that's what makes me think Fleischman's wife has died. They show up, or she's at least disappeared. So the synopsis says it's about life and marriage and so much more. FX's Fleishman is in Trouble, starring Jesse Eisenberg, Claire Danes, Lizzie Kaplan, and Adam Brody, based on a New York Times bestseller, streaming on Hulu November 17th. Oh, wait, there's more. Fleishman is in Trouble is the story of a recently divorced 41-year-old Toby Fleishman, Jesse Eisenberg, who dives into the brave new world of app-based dating with the kind of success he never had dating in his youth. Been there. But just at the start of his first summer of sexual freedom, his ex-wife disappears, leaving him with the kids and no hint of where she is or whether she plans to return. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So that it's also totally something I could see happening. So, yeah. Academy Award nominee Jesse Eisenberg. He's good. I mean, he's good, and he's good for this role. This is a total Jesse Eisenberg role. He's neurotic. And it's definitely going to be his acting chops. And he's got the appearance. He can play young. He can play older. So they keep putting wigs on him and wigs on both of them to play younger. Same thing with Claire Danes. She can play younger and older. This is her, intermarriage. So it should be kind of interesting, I think. There's a lot of layers here. And there should be more stories about this kind of thing because it's so common. And as I've always said, I wouldn't wish divorce on my worst enemy. It's awful. And it's 1,000 times worse if you have kids. Because you have kids, then you're trying not to screw up your kids, where you're getting them through the divorce too. And I don't know what the solution is there, but definitely should be something that people should should be very careful about. You know, you get married, it should be a real commitment, I think. If it's not going to be a real commitment, don't get married. Just don't do it. You know, if you're going to have kids, I think you should be in it pretty much forever. Unless your spouse is so abusive and so terrible and so awful. And when I mean awful, I mean like physically awful, just dumb. But, you know, it's hard to say. People do get divorced. They have other options. It's just very unfair to the breadwinner, almost always. The breadwinner gets screwed 9 times out of 10. And 9 times out of 10, it's the husband. So I think that's very unfair, especially if you live in New York, New Jersey, California, a couple other places. So something needs to be done on that score, but I'm not ranting about that. Let's talk about the TV show. I think it'll be good. It's got me reacting, got me thinking about stuff. It both looks well acted and frustrating. Like, so I guess I'm connecting on that level of frustration. You know, marriage arguments. Now that is also a bit of a turnoff at the same time, because especially if you're going through that now, you definitely don't want to watch this, I would say. But, you know, I love the title. Fleishman is in Trouble. It's a great title. Isn't that a great title? Because it says so much, you know, it implies so much, and yet it's just the title. So I'm loving the cast. I'm loving the layering here. It has everything going for it. So first couple episodes, probably the first episode is Claire Danes disappears, right? She drops off the kids at a weird time and just disappears. And then the question is, what happened to her? Probably for the whole first season. Now, it's a book. I don't know how many books this is going to be based on. I mean, how long could you possibly drag this out? But Jesse Eisenberg is more of a movie guy, so maybe he doesn't want to drag it out. Maybe he just wants to do a super cool one season, and then it ends. I don't know how the book ends. I never read the book, but there's a couple of different ways it could go. You know, most of the middle episodes are... Probably the first episode is like he's finally free and starting his life over, and it's kind of sort of starting to work again after the divorce, even though it's been so terrible. And then his wife just dumps off the kids one night and then disappears and totally screws up his life. And then it's about him trying to figure out what the hell went wrong, dealing with cops, dealing with all kinds of things, and flashing back to, you know, how it all went wrong. So it's like an analysis of his life, and I think some of his friends. I don't know. When you convert a book into a TV series, you might have to extend things. Ugh, God. Don't they look just so happy with themselves? So, you know, so there might be a lot of, I don't want to call it padding, but extensions of various scenes and implications from the book. Maybe that's good if you got writers of kind of equal caliber. But the ending, without knowing the ending of the book, I mean, there's a couple of ways you can go. The one ending is she never comes back, and Fleishman has to resolve all his issues regardless. Like, he can't go back. He can't go back to the life he had before he was married, when he was a young guy, even though it's kind of enticing to him. He's too old. You know, that life is done. And he's got to accept that he needs to move on and be a grown-up with his kids by himself and be a single dad or whatever. And ultimately, even though he didn't want his wife to disappear, that he has to move on. Yeah, and that's life. And you never find out what happens to the mother. She just disappears. Another way it could end is she just comes back, which will probably be the funniest one. She just comes back, and she suffers absolutely no consequences. And now Jesse can go back to his, you know, crazy life of dating on the apps, but ultimately he realizes he enjoyed time with his kids more, and you know, and that his wife's just kind of a terrible shrew who's selfish and doesn't care about anybody other than herself. And now she's had a breakthrough too. Now she wants the kids all the time because she missed them, and even though she was a selfish idiot for disappearing or something like that. That's what I'm leaning towards, is probably the ending. And then there's a third possibility, which is she actually died, and then they find her body, and then I don't know, maybe season 2 is the trial of Fleischman as his life starts to unravel, as he tries to tell everybody he wouldn't kill his wife. Possible fourth one. She comes back and they get back together. That would be crazy. Possible. Some couples are like that. Yeah. They break apart and it's really bad, and then they come back together and then break apart again or stay together forever. But I would totally watch this. Yeah, it's a shame it's on Hulu. I don't have Hulu. But I do like everything about it. Might have to read the book. Let me know in the comments if you read the book. You know this deal. Am I on the money with one of those endings? Is this something worth checking out? It seems like it. Seems like a solid cast. Or is this sort of like, oh, it was a best time seller, but didn't deserve to be on there? Something like that. I don't know. All right. That's it for me. Tony D, Little Joan, and the other dog running around in the background. Actually, more like zonked out. Had a good walkies today. Check me out at Captain Blue Hen tomorrow, the comic book store, from 11 to 3. That's at Newark, Delaware. And check out Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our other base takes. We got 2 other videos on there. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.